The City of Richland recently commissioned a study of the Queensgate Corridor because congestion at the I-182 ramp intersection is a concern for all. JUB engineers completed the Queensgate Corridor study in January of this year, and the study was presented to the Richland City Council at their January 27th workshop. Well, recently, city staff held an open house to share the study and the design options with Richland residents, and of course, to gather the public input.
Everybody knows that travels through there that it's getting busier and busier. We've gotten a lot more retail, commercial activity in the Queensgate, Dupertail area, a lot more housing in South Richland. So, I mean, traffic has increased tremendously on Queensgate in that area. Within the city's jurisdiction, Columbia Park Trail, Keene Road, and Shockley are the three intersections that we focused on. In the Shockley intersection, that one's a little bit different in that it would be a T intersection, and we did not look at a signal at that location. So the two options are either a stop control on Shockley itself, just a regular stop sign, or a roundabout there. As far as the interstate ramps go, as we were talking with the DOT over what we're doing and the study and that we did, and we're going over those options, they pose a question, well, what about, did you guys look at a roundabout at the ramp terminals, at the eastbound ramp terminals? And we hadn't, because that's not in our jurisdiction, and we were really trying to focus on things that the city could control and not necessarily would require DOT control. And so they offered up to look at that themselves, and they came up with a concept for a roundabout there and studied it and analyzed it and determined that it really is a feasible option. The corridor itself, currently between the interstate and Keene Road, there's one lane each direction on Queensgate. That will need to expand to 2 lanes in each direction. Without doing any real in-depth engineering yet on the work, most of that will take place within the existing roadway itself. It'll just be a restriping. There's a lot of width built into that roadway already, and so there won't be any major expansion or construction involved to get those 4 lanes through there on the corridor itself. The intersections, of course, are a bit different, and we currently have 2 left turn lanes going southbound on Queensgate at Keene, and those would have to continue to be there. But when that new south leg of Queensgate gets extended, we also need to get people through the intersection, and so we would have to add a through lane so traffic can go straight across, and then a right turn lane for people wanting to turn right. So there'd be some additional widening that would take place at the intersection itself, along with some other right turn lanes in other directions and that sort of thing, to try to get all that traffic moving the way it needs to move. And that's where the idea of the roundabout came in play too, because there's a lot of right-of-way existing already, and could something like that work as well? Because we have the footprint to do it. How would that work? And so they took a look at that, and there's some alternatives, for that as well.
Do you know what the price difference is between these 2 roundabouts and the regular intersections that they've got?
We had a really good public open house at the city shops, very well attended, over 100 people that I know of that signed in. We had a couple of stations that had the 2 alternatives, the signalized alternatives and roundabout alternatives. Had a lot of great conversations with the public on what their perception of the problem is, their ideas on solutions to some of those problems, and we're able to talk through some of those things and explain some of the engineering decisions that go into some of those decisions that are made, and why some things may seem like they're feasible but they really aren't, and what some of those other impacts are that some people just aren't aware of as they're driving through. So it was an excellent open house, and we got some very valuable feedback from the public, and are looking forward to the results of the online survey as well to see what people think.
Following the open house and closure of the city's online survey on March 27th, city staff Washington State Department of Transportation staff and the city's consultant will evaluate the public input and prepare a recommendation for City Council. Staff anticipates that Council will select the preferred intersection designs later this spring, after which staff will formulate an improvement plan. The improvement plan will most likely be included as a 2016 budget proposal, which means that some of these improvements in the area could be constructed in 2016.
Well, if you would like more information regarding the Queensgate Corridor study, please visit the City of Richland's website and click on Departments, then Public Works, then Traffic and Streets, and finally on the Queensgate Corridor study.